Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Dobby Books. I'm Denise, and today I want to cover a minor book haul and to talk briefly about a couple of books that I managed to finish this week. It's not going to be my May reading summary. It's just simply what I finished in the last week. I hope everyone's been well. I hope you're all well in more ways than one. We are now entering June, which is Pride Month. Yay! And there is a book I want to get, but it's every library nearby I've checked, and all the books are each copy has been checked out already. And it was the book We Burned So Bright. I hope I have that title correct. I'm going to try to find it because I really want to read that this month. If not, I think I may have some titles on my shelf. But just the story about We Burned So Bright, it really struck me. It's about a senior gay couple, and the world is going to come to an end, and they only have so much more time together. So the one partner decides to tell his other one, let's just go for a trip, for a drive, for just one last hurrah. And it just sounds so lovely. I really want to read that. So I'll keep you updated on that. In the meantime, let me show you what I got. I have this book series, and I only had two of the three, and it was by Arthur M. Schlesinger Jr., The Age of Roosevelt. Book one was The Crisis of the Old Order. I got this at my library book sale, I'm going to say roughly around 2 years ago. And then not long after that, I found the second one, The Coming of the New Deal. And for a while, I kept looking for the third book at the same library, or if I went somewhere else, of course, I'd glance, but I didn't have a lot of luck. So in the end, because it bugged me that I only had two of the three, I decided to check eBay. And lo and behold, I found a good enough copy. It's roughly around the same condition that mine are in. And this is the last one in the series, The Politics of Upheaval. Now, Arthur M. Schlesinger did not really win any awards for this particular series, but later on, he received lots of recognition for other books he wrote. There were biographies he wrote as well. He received a Pulitzer Prize for one of them, although which one, I don't know. So I guess that you could say that this series was sort of I'm not going to say landing point, but that when you sort of fly off a certain point, it gets you up there. This series, I think, did that for him. When I get to this point in my history studies, then I'll be going through and reading this series. So there we go. I have all three books. Let me get them stacked here, hopefully nicely. So here we go. And the last one doesn't have the title on the spine because it's a book club edition, and the other two were just regular retail editions. There we go. So now my series is complete, and luckily the shelf that I'll be putting it on, my recently organized bookshelf, actually has space for me to put that third book. So yay, I'm so happy. Okay, two other books I got. One of my fellow booktubers notified us that Princeton University Press was having their 50% off sale. And of course, how can we pass that one up? And I think I must have seen it twice. I don't know if I got the email first and then saw his post on BookTube or the other way around. But I do know that my most recent order with Princeton University Press is on the way. And I know I got those after looking at his BookTube post. He may have had an earlier one, and I don't remember talking about the same thing. But here are the books from my earlier order. This was at the earlier parts of May. The first one is the 100th anniversary edition by J. Franklin Jameson, The American Revolution Considered as a Social Movement. Now, this was a unique title. It caught my eye. It has a new foreword by Michael A. Blackman and Sarah Berenger Gordon. And on the back, it says, this is a classic work that instilled a liberal spirit into the study of American history. J. Franklin Jameson's The American Revolution Considered as a Social Movement was among the first books to look at American history through the lens of social change. The pioneering work argues that the most salient feature of the American Revolution was not the war for independence itself, but rather the struggle between aristocratic values and those of the common people. Jameson shows how American revolutionaries sought to change their government, not their society, but how, in destroying the monarchy and establishing a republic, they changed their society profoundly. He examines the transformative effects the American Revolution had on business, intellectual and religious life, slavery, land ownership, and interactions between members of different social classes. Looking beyond the political and probing the social aspects of this pivotal event, Jameson forces a reconsideration of revolution that still resonates today. I want to read this. And the contents, there are only 4 chapters. The Revolution and the Status of Persons is chapter 1. The Revolution and the Land is 2. Industry and Commerce is 3. And finally, Thought and Feeling is 4. Unique titles for a book that's discussing our American Revolution. So this is going to be a great read. It's not that thick. It's something that we can get through fairly quickly. So there's that one, Princeton University Press. This was originally published in 1926. And this is a reprinted from 2025. The next one that arrived is by, well, it's edited. It's a collection of works edited by Dan Sinykin and Johanna Winant, and it's entitled Close Reading for the 21st Century. And on the back it says, a user's guide to the fundamental practice of literary studies, providing context, examples, and practical exercises. Close reading, making an argument based in close attention to a text, is the foundation of literary studies. This book offers a guide to close reading, treating it as a skill that can be taught and practiced. It first explains what close reading is, what it does, and how it has been used across theoretical schools ranging from affect studies to Black studies, to queer theory, to Marxism. It then presents a series of master classes in the practice with original contributions by scholars from a range of different institutions. Finally, it provides practical materials, worksheets, and suggested activities for instructors to use in the classroom. The tone throughout is encouraging and accessible, inviting readers of all backgrounds to hone their craft. And of course, I always want to hone my craft. And these sections are entitled, the first one is scene setting, the second one, noticing, the third, local claiming, fourth, regional argumentation, and then fifth, global theorizing. And the final part has the practical materials, which is reading, writing, and using close readings. You know, one section is for reading close readings, the other one is for writing close readings, and the third for using close readings. So this is going to be neato. I love looking at stuff like this. I buy curriculum because I'm a weirdo. I just love stuff like that. Okay. Those are the buys that I had. So they were 3 books. The Close Reading for the 21st Century, The American Revolution Considered as a Social Movement, and the final book in the Age of Roosevelt series, which was what? The Politics of Upheaval. So there were these 3 books that I got. And now I want to briefly discuss 2 books I finished. The first one was for my Middle Ages studies, and it's the book of Margery Kempe. I did finally finish it. And again, this is about a woman who had a spiritual experience in the Catholic tradition, medieval Catholic tradition. And it's a priest was writing this about her, and he always refers to her as this creature. It's meant as a kindness, a humble kindness. And she went on pilgrimages because the practice then in the Middle Ages is if you went on a pilgrimage, which was a sacrifice of time and money and could be dangerous, you would receive some sort of spiritual benefit. There was the practice then, if you went to this particular pilgrimage, you could I hesitate to use the word buy, but you could gain yourself some time out of purgatory, which was the belief at that time. So she did a pilgrimage to the Holy Land. She went to Santiago. She went to Rome. She went to, there's a place in London, in England, and I'm not remembering it. Doggone it. It starts with a C. Canterbury? Someone's going to correct me on that. So the various pilgrimages she went on, her experiences with that, remember, she had to walk or she went by wagon. If people were being kind to her, she had to go by ship. She met good people, she met bad people, and that included, the regular everyday person, and sometimes bishops and priests who weren't very nice to her. But that's humanity, right? She met bishops and priests who were very kind to her. So it went both ways, and just her commitment and her dedication. And I thought it was a lovely story about a woman. She had a very strange manifestation of her spiritual moments. She would cry and wail loudly, which of course earned her the disapproval of many, and that's why they misunderstood her. She couldn't control it when it happened, and this was just the way she manifested it. So it talks about that and the troubles that got her into. I wanted to read this because I wanted to read a primary source for my Middle Ages study. So this was it. I could have finished it faster, but of course, May was a rough month. So I finally finished it. I'm very happy. I have my little green sticker there, so I can just show that off. All right, that's done. And the next one that I finished was a middle grade read entitled 100 Cupboards. It's a 3-book series. It's a 4-book series because they had a prequel to this one that was published later by N.D. Wilson. N.D. Wilson has written, oh gosh, so there's this book series, but there's another middle grade book series he's written. Again, I don't know the title, but I also found out that he has written titles for adults, and I believe he's a pastor, and he writes these adult titles for to help adults with their spiritual walk. And as I looked more closely, did a little more research on N.D. Wilson, and I was seeing all these wonderful articles and books that he's written for both middle grade and for adults. I also found out, get this, the father of N.D. Wilson is Doug Wilson, Pete Hegseth's pastor. Now, to be fair, he can't help the fact that his father is Doug Wilson. I have no idea how closely he's affiliated with his father's church or teachings. I have no idea. So I'm not going to make any judgment on that. But I will say I was kind of disappointed when I found that out. I thought, oh, am I going to read the other 2 books in this series? I don't know. But again, I didn't research it any further after I found that out. Because if I'm just reading the 2 other books in this series, what's it matter, right? This is just a fantastic middle school series that I thoroughly enjoyed about a young kid whose parents were these adventurers, and they weren't very warm, cozy, cuddly kind of parents. And they were sort of distant, and they would go off on these safaris and adventurous trips and leave him home or put him in boarding school. And on their last trip, I think it was to Peru, they were kidnapped. So they disappeared, and he was placed with an aunt and uncle in Kansas. Very different life than the one he had in the city. And he grew to love it there. They gave him the room in the attic, and he soon found that something was pushing the plaster off his wall in the attic. And his curiosity got the best of him, and he started chipping away at that at night while everybody was sleeping. And he finds these 100 cupboards in the wall. And when he opens some, he gets this horrible bad feeling. He starts to feel sick. He opens these other ones, and he sees a post office. He's one of the post office boxes in a post office. So he sees a person walking by putting mail in. So he understands that this is taking him to different locations. He doesn't know a thing about where he is. and his one cousin, he's there with the three cousins, they're all girls. The one cousin, Henrietta, decides to find out what he's doing. She helps him out with this. And I want to say I loved the character development in this series. The one character that I could really see pretty clearly was his uncle Frank. Henry is the name of the boy, and Frank is the name of his uncle. This man has a quiet wisdom about him, a resourceful, caring, peaceful man who you get the impression he's really trying to get Henry to trust him, to open up to him. He's trying to connect with him, but it's not just in a standard uncle-nephew way. You sense that his uncle Frank is trying to find something out from Henry. And of course, as the story unfolds, you start to learn why. And also towards the very end, you find out there's also something very special about his Uncle Frank. I really enjoyed this story. It went along well. I thought it was very creatively done. I really want to read the next two books in the series. So yes, I would recommend this book by N.D. Wilson, 100 Cupboards. 3 books in the series. I believe there was an additional one just added, which is the prequel to 100 Cupboards. And of course, I'll post the title and everything in the description box for you. So these again are the 2 books that I finished. One was the middle grade, 100 Cupboards, and the other one was for my middle ages, the Book of Margery Kempe. And I think that is it, everyone. I want to see, maybe perhaps I'll do a tag tomorrow. I was tagged twice, so I owe those 2 tags that I'm just very happy that I was remembered, and I'll be happy to answer those tags tomorrow. In the meantime, everybody, please be well, stick together, and I will see you in just a few days. Bye-bye.